Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Auphanim. So we have a little article here today on ripple.com, and it's about open banking. It says open banking on the rise in North America. And so they have a little blurb here. Let's just read this. If you just bear with me for a moment. Regions where open banking has already made its mark have seen a rise in competition and a downward pressure on margins. This has driven financial institutions to either find new revenue streams or new cost saving measures. And the emerging open banking landscape with its burgeoning crypto innovation has the opportunity to provide solutions to both. While the impacts it may have on banks and payment service providers must be considered, there is ample opportunity for consumers and benefits for the economies to which they contribute. Let's take a deeper dive into what open banking is, trends that bolster the prospects of open banking, barriers to success, how crypto and open banking intersect, and finally, what's on the horizon. So now, before we get into all of that, what is open banking? So I did a Google search, and let's read what Google had to say about that. This is from wikipedia.com. Open banking is a financial services term as part of a financial technology that refers to the use of open APIs that enable third-party developers to build applications and services around the financial institution. Greater financial transparency options for account holders ranging from open data to private data. Now, I believe how this affects NBFIs, which is non-banking financial institutions like Ripple, is that a lot of these systems today are very closed systems. Okay, so they're not going to be sharing a lot of the financial data with outside sources or outside entities such as non-banking financial institutions like Ripple or Stellar, right? So they're closed systems, and they're used to operating within their own systems and probably between banks that are within an overarching umbrella of banks, right? So that makes it more difficult for non-banking financial institutions, which are on the rise like Ripple, to succeed and provide their customers with the smooth experience that they should be having, right? So it makes everything more difficult. You sort of have to start over from scratch with all of the different information, when customers will want to just sort of have that integration where their information slides from one institution over to another institution. You see a lot of this interoperability between apps these days, where you can sign into a multitude of apps with Google. You can sign into a multitude of apps with Facebook. So I think that's what they're going for here. But right now, without regulatory clarity, that's one thing that's being held against institutions like Ripple, where the banks are saying, well, we don't really have to share that data with you at this particular time. But I think that kind of goes hand in hand. It goes both ways, sort of like if they're willing to work with non-banking financial institutions, in my humble opinion, if they're willing to do that, then it will lend more credence towards regulatory clarity, right? It would make a lot more sense. Like, okay, let's give them regulatory clarity because they're already working with this particular institutions. However, I do see it from the angle of the banks as well. They're like, well, we don't really need to give the competition right now a leg up, so let's hold everything off. But what Ripple is saying is it's inevitable. Kind of like what I said in one of the videos I put out recently, the new financial system is inevitable. It cannot be stopped. So this is sort of what Ripple is kind of postulating here, is that since we're inevitable and we're coming and more people are using us, we're going to take a huge chunk of the market. You might as well start working with us now. Of course, that's not what's happening right now, but this is what this article is sort of pushing towards. And I'm sure if we're reading this, there's a lot of meetings going on, there's a lot of phone calls being made, and so things are happening behind the scenes that obviously are going to have long-lasting implications into the future, which is very good. And as I said before, you see that Ripple is fighting tooth and nail for every little bit that they can take. Every yard, they're battling for it, which is very good for XRP holders, because as I stated before, you want a company like that has a vested interest. That you want a company that wants to win. You want a company where if they don't win, then they lose as well. Okay, so they have a vested interest, as I said before, to make sure everybody is winning. And of course, that means money for them. That means money for you as an XRP holder. Thank goodness they made XRP an integral part of the XRPL, right? So let's just read a little bit further here. Okay, so it says there are a number of benefits to open banking, such as broadened revenue streams through API-enabled products, improved customer personalization and satisfaction via increased touch points, and strengthened relevance for FIs by diversifying their client offerings. Another benefit lies in data transfer. This is what I was just talking about. Data transfer, in which competitive third-party providers can access bank account and transaction data through APIs. Customers who consent to share this information with the open banking system give providers a better understanding of customer needs, enabling streamlined payment solutions and enhanced user experience. So this is going on already in other areas around the world. So, you know, of course, United States a lot of the time are some of the last is one of the last places to really adopt a lot of the best technologies. I think everybody knows that. It's not really a secret. But Ripple is making a hard push. As we saw, Ripple is also the biggest provider of lobbying money for cryptocurrencies. Of course, XRP probably is the main cryptocurrency, but if you have one lobbyer for crypto, pretty much all crypto are going to win. I think that's just logical. And it gives exposure to these different politicians and governmental entities that, hey, crypto is here, we're not going anywhere, and we would like you to take us serious and make a way for us, make a lane for us, especially legally. And I think that's going to go a long way. But we have an article here, you know, that goes a little bit deeper into lobbying, because the other day I was saying, I hope more institutions were lobbying or should lobby. And then we have an article here on zcrypto.com, and it goes as such. Coinbase, Ripple, and Robinhood lead $9.5 million crypto lobbying efforts in the US. So there you have it. More cryptocurrency companies or institutions are actually lobbying. This is very good. They should be sending representatives, not just to lobby, but to educate. There's a huge educational curve. I mean, most of these governmental entities think that all of crypto is Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is ridiculous, but it's true. This is how they think a lot of the time. So this is very, very good. So then you have crypto lobbying jumped 116% in 2021. That's amazing. That's really good. Coinbase, Ripple, and Robinhood account for 60% of all lobbying efforts. I'd like to see more institutions involved in that. I think that's ridiculous still, even though it's more than just Ripple now. Now you have three major bodies lobbying for crypto. I think there should be much, much more. I don't know what everyone else is doing, but they need to get on that. Okay. This is a fight, and you're going to have to fight. There's no way to run away from it. You might as well join the fight. Fight all together at one time. It gives you more of an opportunity for victory than everybody fighting as individuals. You're going to be easier to squash if squashing does happen. So you have this last bullet point. Lobbying expenditure is expected to reach $15 million by 2023. So that's pretty good. I'd like to see a little bit more done, is in my humble opinion, but they have a lot of experts on this. So I'm sure they've thought this through, and hopefully that's going to work out. Then we have this little part here. A recently released report by digital assets focused website Crypto Head and U.S. top finance accountability NGO, Open Secrets, has revealed that the top crypto companies in America spend approximately $4.9 million in lobbying efforts at the U.S. Congress. So listen, there's been a lot of meetings with the Congress, and I'm hoping that they're starting to understand they can help out with regulatory clarity. They can even step in. There's a huge education curve. Of course, they need to be schooled on what cryptos are green, carbon negative, which ones are fiat currency rail, that they're all different. They do different things. Some collect data, some move fiat currency back and forth. Some are just a store of value. Gas fees are different. Some of them are energy consumptive, but they can be greened up, but they're not all energy consumptive. They're not all bad. Some of them are very, very compliant. So they're not all used for illicit activities. Like, all of this needs to be conveyed to these particular governmental officials, because they don't really know a lot. That their education on crypto is absolutely terrible. So you have entities like Stellar Foundation and sending people having meetings with the government. I believe Algorand also was doing that. You have Ripple has sat on many panels with the government, and if they're sitting on open panels with the governmental officials, then I'm pretty sure they're having meetings behind the scenes as well with Congress and trying to educate them on what XRP is, and that's very, very good. So hopefully that type of thing will continue. So all of this is very, very good, especially if you take into account XRP, if we ever get regulatory clarity. Hopefully we will, and defeat the SEC. This case is ridiculous. But if you have states, if states are going to be legalizing, let's say, all right, just bear with me here. If states are going to legalize Bitcoin, how much more would they want to use XRP? looking at all the money that they could save. And all someone has to do is sit down in a meeting with them and explain to them these high gas fees, all right? Just explain that to them. These high gas fees, I mean, it's still not green, but they're trying to green it up. We'll see what happens in the future with Bitcoin. But if you want to use Bitcoin, you should be drooling and salivating over utilizing XRP, which in my humble opinion, it makes it very easy to see XRP being widespread in its use throughout the United States. And keep in mind, that's just a small market. In my humble opinion, the P2P market is the smallest of the markets that XRP could stand to take. That's more of like a Stellar market. Stellar's going to just take over with that. They love that. Stellar is trying to get money on every single level, while XRP really is just concentrated on the banks. Okay. So you have that flow of capital coming into XRP. You have the B2B markets. Imagine the B2B markets in the United States all have a portion, I'm not saying all, a portion of their money flowing through XRP. That's very healthy. B2B market, as you all know, if you're watching my videos, $75 trillion market. Just take a little piece of that. What does it do to XRP's price? Intrabank payments, unbelievable. So in the CHIPS system with intrabank payments, CHIPS is the clearinghouse interbank payments system, okay? It's the primary clearinghouse in the US for large banking transactions. And as of 2015, CHIPS settles over 250,000 trades per day, valued in excess of $1.5 trillion. Let me read that again. CHIPS settles over 250,000 trades per day, valued in excess of $1.5 trillion in both domestic and cross-border transactions. If XRP even takes a piece of that, what does it do to that price? Okay, so all of this is going very, very good. And so now you have an idea, like I said before, of the high amount of what transaction volume is like, okay, with interbank payments or intrabank payments. And also you have an idea of the value that's moving back and forth as far as interbank payments, which is $1.5 trillion, which is pretty healthy in my opinion. What would it do to that XRP price if it even took a piece of that? Now imagine it taking a big chunk of that. Okay, so we're talking about when we're talking XRP, we're talking about big money. Now, someone says something about XLM, which kind of is the same for XRP in my humble opinion, as to why the prices aren't going up and such. There's no mass adoption. There's no CBDCs. There's no national digital currencies just yet. Everything is still being set up. These type of systems, financial systems, take a long time to set up. So they're still talking about 3 to 5 years of infrastructure. That's to come. That's to come. So it's still going to take even more time. Even if we get regulatory clarity, it's still going to take more time for everything to be fully up and running. These things take time. You just can't throw something together and hope it's going to work. Little by little, you climb the mountain, little by little. So that's why those prices haven't had their parabolic runs yet, but I can assure you, once you have banks fully using it, you have infrastructure set up, you have central bank digital currencies, you have B2B cross-border payments being sent back and forth on XRP, you're going to see something happen with that price. And I think it's going to be muy linda, mi gente, muy linda. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, let's get to the money.